60 kilometers south of Sicily, about 200 kilometers from the coast of North Africa. It's been voted as having one of the best climates in the world, also one of the best quality of life destinations. This week, how brand South Africa is marketing itself to Malta and what we can learn from an aggressive ecotourism marketing strategy. A very warm welcome to Mags on Malta. Country marketing is an important proponent in attracting foreign investment and tourists. The responsibility of organising events that will strengthen South Africa's brand proposition as a prime destination and building and maintaining relationships in foreign territories often falls on the shoulders of South Africa's embassies abroad. Under the watchful eye of the ambassador to Italy, Nomatemba Tambo, daughter of the anti-apartheid struggle hero Oliver Tambo, a whole weekend was dedicated to celebrating 20 years of democracy on the picturesque island of Malta, which forms part of the Italian embassy's territories. Here, a select group of Maltese decision-makers were treated to the best in South African food, wine and music at a gala event commemorating the Rainbow Nation's long walk to democracy. We are sitting on an island which some have called the belly button of Europe, which I think is a very nice way of describing it. Why does South Africa need to be here? Why do we need to have this outreach?
We've had relations for so many years with Malta, but they still don't know us. And I don't think we know anything about them. And as I've been assigned to be the ambassador here, I thought that we should reach out. There's so many positive things that we have in common. It's an English-speaking country. They have a very strong economy, it's a safe environment, it's a progressive country, and I think that South Africa needs to be here because for us also it's a great investment opportunity, and for them it's a great investment opportunity. So the idea is that we start to build really sustainable links across the board, not just from an economic perspective. That one, maybe not so much because it's a very small country, I think a little bit more than 400,000 here. But they can gain a lot from us. And we can assist them through investment opportunities and getting into the rest of Africa. And we can do culture with them. We can do educational projects with them. It makes sense to me.
How difficult a job is it? It all sounds very nice in theory, but to take brand South Africa and to work it in a place like this, is it difficult? Do you have a deliberate and well thought out strategy in that respect?
Yes, the strategy just is introduction because you know, people may not know much about South Africa because historically here their links were with North Africa. They had no reason to look further south. But once they know of us and they start researching us, they're tremendously impressed and surprised and curious to find out more. There is tremendous enthusiasm for brand South Africa, if I can put it like that, and in finding ways in which we can collaborate together. I'm very, very optimistic, and I think that in the next few years, we'll see some great things. Let me suggest to you, Ambassador, that the optimism is good, but it maybe is cautious optimism. I've been engaging with some of the business community members here. They are concerned about the ease of doing business in South Africa, and they're also worried about the recent ratings downgrade that we've just received. Yes, I'm not so worried about the downgrading story. I mean, it seems to me that it comes and goes on a whim. In terms of ease of doing business, South Africa is really highly rated in terms of ease of doing business. And also we have great incentives for people coming into the country who want to do foreign investment. The DTI is great at assisting and literally babysitting companies coming into the country. The thing is, people have to understand the environment in which they're going. And because as a continent, we're still trying to build away from the negative impression that the rest of the world has of Africa, South Africa falls into that. But as I say, once people see us, that all falls away. They end up being impressed, and we're a good brand to sell, actually, to be honest.
Instead of predictable speeches about South Africa's success as a nation and our road to democracy, two young Rotarians from Johannesburg were flown in to address the Maltese delegation, sharing their experiences about growing up in a non-racial society.
They asked us to give our opinion on what South Africa is like from the youth's point of view, because, you know, many people were involved in the apartheid era, but we weren't around to witness it all. So it was our opportunity to tell the world how we felt about South Africa from a completely neutral point of view.
If we can get through to the youth of South Africa and show them that change is good and that we can actually make a difference, it can change the mindset of people and how we approach things. We could change the world, in fact.
20 years on, is there still, and you can talk from a Maltese perspective and also from an Italian perspective where you're based in Rome, is there still an interest in that South African story 20 years on, or has it become a little passé, a little jaded now, do you think?
It's become even more relevant because when they look around their own environment, which is Europe and of course Northern Africa, and they see the levels of unrest and they see the levels of aggression, and then they think of South Africa, and they think of Mandela and they think of the Rainbow Nation and all those branded things, and then they understand that South Africans actually have given away a lot of hatred. They've let it go. We're not perfect, we're still working through our past issues, but for the most part the intention of all South Africans is to work and love each other and to live a peaceful existence. So when they look at us, we're a reminder of what is still possible for them to achieve again.
In conclusion, let's talk about the event that you hosted 2 nights ago. It's a funny old thing, isn't it? South Africans do it best with food. You brought 2 chefs out, 2 young chefs from South Africa, and inevitably at some point your entire staff found themselves on the dance floor. I was coerced, and I think that's when the evening took a bit of a dip. But be that as it may, that's a good way of that's the South African story in many respects. That particular outreach worked, didn't it?
What they were exposed to is the heart of South Africa, which is a people who are full of joy, a people who are full of love and enthusiasm, and who are not scared to have a good time. You don't have to say that being sensible and serious means that you must be dour and depressed and everything else. And I think we encompass it in a very holistic way. So yes, food, yes, good music, yes, great company, because once people start to relax with you, then they'll start to trust you and they'll start to listen to you. For me, the good story that I can tell about that evening is that now the Maltese community has got something to talk about when they talk about South Africa. They've had a real experience of us.
With the formal event done and dusted, a South African braai was the perfect way to end a working weekend. 2 South African chefs sweated behind the griddles in order to give foreign guests a real taste of South African cuisine. Lucky for chefs Jade Sulifen and Vusimusi Ndlovu, their trip to Malta was not all work and no play. As a means of cultural enrichment and exchange, the embassy worked with local tourism company 2020 to give the South Africans an authentic Maltese experience. The 2 met with some of Malta's best-known chefs that taught them the secrets of Mediterranean cooking. And if these excursions didn't get them close enough to Maltese fresh produce, swimming with the country's famous bluefin tuna definitely did. Aquaculture is a growing industry in Malta, and tuna farming is predicted to contribute something in the region of €73 million to the economy by 2025. Mags on Media coming to you from the sunny Mediterranean country of Malta this week. We'll have more in just a moment.
News that moves. ENCA.com.